And do you think that Hakeem Jeffries is the best person to do that for the Democrats?
I don't think a Republican can judge that. I think that he certainly has positioned himself well. He's worked very hard to be broadly acceptable, but there are a number of other players there, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see 4 or 5 candidates initially, because it's a rare moment of openness. I also suspect that the number 2 and 3 slots will also end up being vacated, partially because when they lose, and I think they will lose this fall, they're going to suddenly face this realization: who has the drive, the energy, the charisma to get us back to a majority? And I think that's going to be a very different question than if they had a big majority and they were just picking somebody to sustain the majority. They have real problems, and the problems are going to, I think, compound and get worse as they go through this year, partly brought on by Biden, but partly brought on by the fact that they've gotten too far to the left, and they don't really represent the country. They represent the left wing of their party, and that's a very narrow base to try to sustain a majority in the House.
So we're fresh into 2022, and with the new year and the midterms approaching, it's just in time for us to talk about the elections. Just in time for us to be considering who we want to be the Speaker of the House or Minority Leader. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jackson White, co-founder and chief of content at Politiscope, and thank you for yet again choosing TYT. Now, as Newt pointed out, the Democrats have a couple of things on the table. Now, were they going into the 2022 midterms with absolute certainty that they were going to maintain the House, who they wanted to be Speaker could be a person who isn't very charismatic, who isn't necessarily very inspirational, who doesn't necessarily draw large crowds, who doesn't necessarily have the ability to really inspire, because all they would need to do is maintain management and maintain balance. However, they're almost certain to lose the House and the Senate, if not just one of them. And if they do lose the House, that means that they're going to need someone who is of strong charisma, who can possibly draw large crowds, and who really, really can tap into the times we live in, because the Democrats have their consecutive issues of not fully delivering on their agenda. So we're really, really going to have to put into, our thought process of the type of leader that we want to be in charge of the House Democrats, because the House is where legislation typically gets passed over the Senate. The Senate is where it goes to die, as we know. However, the House delivers the most legislation, and because of that, it's very important for us to consider who we want to be the Speaker or who we want to be Minority Leader going forward. Now, obviously, what Newt had to say about the Democrats veering too far to the left, of course we know that's nonsense. Of course we know that's BS. Because issue after issue, when you poll the American people, we see that we're pretty much on board with policies across the board. And sadly enough, Democratic media, centrist media, corporate media, and Democrats themselves follow that same rhetoric originated from people like Newt Gingrich. Well, we're just going too far left. Oh, we're just going too far left, when we know that that's nonsense. So, going forward, we'll keep you updated with everything, but it's very, very much time for us to start thinking about who we want on board to be Speaker of the House or Minority Leader.